Hey, and welcome everyone to the Journey Beyond podcast. Your podcast from getting you from that place of stuckness in your life to a life filled with purpose, where we guide you through your personal journey towards lasting happiness with practical advice, straight to the point steps, and a lot of personal stories and experiences from my life and the lives of the guests that I will be interviewing along on this journey that we're going on together. I'm your host, Tim, and today we are diving into a subject that is very close to my heart and I believe is super vital for anyone who is starting out or who is already on his transformational journey. The topic of authenticity. I will be sharing a lot about what authenticity means to me and why it is so important when learning and growing into becoming the most authentic version of yourself. Pretty much when you're trying to figure out your life and you're getting to many roadblocks that always lead you back into this introspective time where you sit and you have to figure out, okay, who is the person that I'm trying or I'm willing to become right now to achieve that certain goal, to get to this place in life where I want to go. So as you can see, there's a lot of packed information that I have ready for you guys in this episode. So let's not waste any time and dive right in. But before we get started, I want to take a quick minute to give a little shout out to each and every single one of you who is tuning in actually for the very first time to this podcast. If you're listening to this right now and you are a hungry student of life who is just starting out on his personal development journey or has been on it for many years or some time already, I just want to let you know, thank you for putting in your work every single day. The world needs people like you that show up and do the work even when no one's watching. So I just want to let you know, you got this and you are just perfect the way you are. And with this being said, I want to dive right into today's topic because I think authenticity is something super up to date, something that is becoming or is getting more and more traction on social media, is becoming much more important. As you know, in the year 2023, the world is changing so fast. Things are moving at such a rapid pace. And, we're living in an age where social media has taken the control of our youngest generation, of Generation Y and Z, and where a lot of people are living in this social construct where it is just important to be just like that one person that is popping up on the internet. You want to be like that one Andrew Tate. You want to be like this one David Goggins, right? Everybody is striving to be someone else because they seem they are not good enough to let their own light shine. And that's why they want to step into the footsteps of somebody else who is already in the spotlight. And I think this is why today's episode is so important. And it's only the beginning because I think the topic of authenticity is not something that you can maybe just drop down on a 10 to 15 minute episode, but rather it's something that you take along with you as we are going through this journey of authenticity. And as we are starting out on this little first mini series that I've prepared, which is actually called The Journey to Authenticity. And I think first off, what is authenticity? Authenticity is the cornerstone of what makes you you. It is pretty much the main reason why long-lasting fulfillment and happiness is possible, because it is taking a good look at who you are right now, shedding all of the layers around you that are influenced by external factors, and you stripping yourself off of everything that is not you at your core. Who are you when you are with your friends? Who are you when you are around your working place? Look at your different masks that you are wearing and strip everything down to the core of, okay, who am I and who do I want to be? Those two questions should be the center point in finding out what authenticity means to you. Authenticity allows you to live fully and freely without any type of constraints that society loves to impose on us. It is you at your purest core without wearing any masks whatsoever. It is the healthiest expression of you that has the capability to truly love. Being able to truly love someone from all of your heart is only possible when you are living at your true core. It's the ability to give fully and to accept fully, to forgive someone to the extent where it's not only to please that situation, to get over that situation, but actually truly from your heart, being able to forgive another person and move on in your life and find peace, instill peace again into your life. It's as well the ability to accept fully without needing to change anything about you. I think authenticity, if you would take it, is who you were as a child. Because if you think back now, when you were a child, when you were just growing up and you were running around with your friends outdoors, let you be a guy or a girl, you were with your friends and you were in this non-judgmental world where you were just exploring and creating those mind castles, building castles out of little pillows, going outside, playing hide and seek, playing wizards and forger in the forest, right? All of those little creative worlds that you are diving into as a child, you are being at your most authentic core, because there is nothing outside of you that is shaping you, that is influencing you and telling you, you cannot be this, you cannot be that. When we were a child and when we were growing up, we were at our most authentic core, because we had the possibility to be and do whatever we wanted to. And exactly this is what we've lost over the years as, school is coming in and, different backgrounds, kids from different backgrounds are being mixed together. And then one with maybe a little traumatic childhood starts bullying other people for their looks, for their behavior, for their weirdness, and so on and so on. And those people, they then, in order to resist the bully and in order to, kind of surrender to this social construct where they don't all of a sudden, from being like this kid with huge imagination and who thought he could be whatever he wanted to be, now has to restrain and refrain from being this version because it's deemed by some other people who didn't have the pleasure as weird or as not cool. And then you learn very fast how to limit yourself and how to limit yourself from your mind on, how to limit your heart and not let everyone see your true light. And this is how we lost our authenticity over the years. And this carries on for most people throughout their entire life. If you catch yourself being very angry or a very salty person who just loves to look at the external and sees only negative, sees only bad people, sees only things that you want to judge and things that are, in a sense, bothering you the entire time, this gives me a great indication that you are in a place where you have left out so much work and so much lonely time for yourself to truly ask yourself, what do I want from my life? Because people who are spending so much time outside looking and validating other people and criticizing other people, they are trying to avoid spending time with themselves because it might indicate that there are things that they have to criticize about themselves. And when they do, they realize very fast that the real work they've been avoiding is actually not something that they've left behind and they can just run away from, but it's like an anchor that is getting, or an emotional anchor that is getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and it's just making you saltier as a person. Brené Brown left a beautiful quote that I read the other day, where she said, authenticity is a collection of choices that we make every single day. It's about the choice to show up and be real. It's about the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. So when we aren't true to ourselves, when we are avoiding all of the work that we have to do with ourselves, we are living inauthentically, which creates a life that doesn't align with who we truly are. A life that creates so much friction and so much resistance that it eventually makes us sick. Gabor Mate, a physician and authoritative figure that I really love reading and listening to over his speeches when it comes to trauma and addictions from childhood, he said that authentic living or inauthentic living usually, or at the base of it, always has a situation and an experience that indicates some kind of hurt. Because if hurt is being indicated in an experience from your childhood, you as a child, you don't really understand what is happening and you are just micromanaging your way through it, and you are adapting the path of least resistance that is bringing you the least pain. But this path means closing your doors down to other people and to the world around you. It means closing yourself down. According to him, the lack of inauthenticity isn't just a mental or emotional issue. It can manifest physically and can make you prone to stress and even disease. His work shows us that how authenticity is not just a lifestyle, but it's a health imperative. Going into yourself, taking time for yourself, learning how to become peaceful, learning how to be at peace with yourself is one of the most important health imperatives that we should imply in our nowadays society. I had a beautiful evening yesterday with my friends, and we did a great barbecue, and we sat together over a beautiful glass of wine for hours and hours and talked about some, just some important topics about life, some life conversations. And one thing that came up, which I really, really loved, is that we all are at a point right now and at an age where we thought before the world was so difficult as we're just figuring out, right? But now we're all getting older, because I'm 27 years old myself, and we are realizing that life has never been as easy as it is right now, because the more you spend time with yourself and the more you do the work, hard work creates a good life or an easy life. An easy life creates, or easy work creates a hard life. It's always what you kind of set yourself out to do, you get what is directly correlating to that. So if you always want the path of least resistance in your life, life will get you a lot of challenges and life will be very, very difficult. If you, right from the get-go, want to head on life with, a very stubborn way of approaching it, and you go through hardships very early on, you will realize that you will get tougher. And mental resilience is a big topic that we will cover in a couple of more episodes as well along the way. But the more mentally resilient you become, the easier certain life situations seem to you. And I think that was like the big point that we got out of yesterday's conversation, is that by now, honestly, we welcome hard situations, hardship, and possibly even times of distress, because we learned how to be comfortable with ourselves. We love being alone. I love spending time alone, which used to be the most scary thing I could possibly imagine, being someone who was raised as a very self-unaware person, and I would say very, very being plagued with the feeling of not being enough. I think that was my biggest challenge throughout my entire life, which I had to tackle, and which I'm still working on, actually, because it's always a work in progress. But I've been working on for a really good time, and I'm much, much more in tune with myself right now. But being able to say no to things and being able to not needing to be in a social group and be with other people, but rather prefer being alone, is one of the biggest and most valuable traits that you should adapt for your life. Because if you can say no to situations and actually you prefer and you prioritize your peace and loneliness, you learn so much more about yourself than just being a people pleaser around other people in social constructs, right? So as this podcast, I want to keep it as short as possible with as much compact information as you guys need to carry out your day and to actually, get something along the way with where okay, this is something that I want to implement right away, and this is something that I would love to see happening already today. This is what this podcast is supposed to be about. So enough with the theoretical work, enough with my thoughts on this topic and what authenticity is. I think by now you understood, or you should have understood, what authenticity is, why it is important that you have it in your life, and how you can implement it. So now, adding on to the implementation part, I want to leave you guys with a 5-step manual that you can do on a daily basis to becoming and cultivating more of this authentic side, cultivating authenticity in your life and becoming the version of you that you always supposed to be. So starting off with this, my number one tip, and I would even say this is one of the 2 most important tips of the ones that I'm going to present to you in the following couple of minutes. Now, step number 1 is self-awareness. Spend time understanding what you like and what you don't like. Start writing down and working with your values. What are your beliefs? What do you stand for? Because someone who doesn't stand for anything falls for everything. Someone with strong values is like an iceberg that is impenetrable. So this is why it's important that you take the time and actually start writing down what you like and what you don't like. I know that a lot of you who have never really spent the time journaling or doing anything of such, they say like, well, I don't like this and I don't like pizza and I don't like when it's raining. But yeah, that's very obvious and that's very surface scratching. But when it comes to important situations in your life, it's important to go a little bit further than the surface. And I tell you and I challenge you at the same time, spend time writing down. Spend time, let it be 30 minutes a day, just writing down in a journal on a piece of paper or on your laptop. It can be digitally. A lot of times physical writing is preferred because there is a certain neuronal connection that happens as you're writing. But write down the things that you like and write down the things that you don't like and become very, very clear of what it is that you want for your life. This will help a lot, getting clear about your mission. Step number 2 is embrace your imperfections. Embrace being weird. Embrace your flaws. Embrace everything that back in the days, those school bullies told you to not be. Take those things back into your life, live them again, and stand for them. Actually integrate them into your life and become proud. Embrace all of your imperfections that make you unique. Because without those imperfections, without those little tiny flaws that we all have, we wouldn't be who we are. We would just be an exact replica of everybody else out there who's trying to be just like everybody else. I know this sounds very confusing, but it's pretty much the case. We all want to be this influencer. We all want to be this model. We all want to be this superstar, but we are forgetting that we can never be. We want to be that person so bad that we shed all of the layers that make us us and try to become like somebody else. I watched a beautiful Instagram story the other day. It's actually a week or two away already. I think when I was in Porto last week. And there was this guy that spoke about relationships, right? And he said, if a woman or your partner in general, doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man, if your partner says that he likes this part, and this part about you, but he doesn't like, let's say, that weird personality trait of yours. He doesn't like when you are in this certain situation or when you're around these friends, right? This person doesn't love you 100%. Even if he or she says she does or he does, that's not true. Because loving someone and loving someone to 100% means that you are accepting 100% of this person. It's accepting all of the beautiful sides, it's accepting all of the flaws and being able to work with them and being able to accept them in your life. Because if you don't love someone 100%, I wouldn't recommend to you going in a relationship with this person, because sooner or later you will be bothered so much. And if you then have communication problems, you don't know how to set boundaries properly, it is bound to be a toxic relationship. And I can tell you this from experience, it's better to take time getting to know yourself and being very clear when communicating with your potential, soon-to-be potential partner, who you are, what you like and what you don't like, than just going with the flow and finding it out and being like neck deep down with your heart into the relationship. And only then you're realizing, okay, damn, there are like so many aspects of this person that I don't like and that are 100% not resonating with me, but what do I do? My heart is sold. And then you're pretty much effed. So spend time writing down the things that you like and that you don't like, and embrace everything around you that makes you unique. My uniqueness is my humor and my weirdness. If you would ask all of my working colleagues, if you would ask all of my friends, they know me for this flaw. They know me for sometimes being very dynamic and instinctual. They love me for being that quirky, weird, goofy guy sometimes that is just making them laugh out of no reason. And that's just what makes me me. I was always ashamed of it, so I didn't bring it up in certain professional environments or surroundings. But I realized the more I worked on my authenticity, realized that this side I need to include in every area of my life. And the moment I did, people started loving it. And I started loving it even more because I could just be myself around other people. Step number 3, I already mentioned like twice now within the other steps, learn to set boundaries. learn to say no is the most liberating of an act of authenticity. Ryan Holiday, actually, the author of many Stoic writings and books, such as Courage is Calling, Life of a Stoic. I think I've read like 2-3 other more of him. One of my favorite authors, by the way, he said, you have to get into the habit of saying no. It needs to become your number one priority to say no to a lot of things. Because saying no is probably the single best practice that you can do for yourself. Step number 4, be mindful of social masks. Recognize when you are wearing a mask to please others and be willing to drop it. Recognize when you are wearing a social mask that you are putting on only when you are with your working colleagues, only when you are around women, only when you are in certain situations. Realize that you're wearing a mask and see how this mask is changing you. There's nothing worse than getting into dating, going on dates with a man or a woman or whatsoever, and you are putting on a mask. You are changing to be like this perfect version that this other person would want to see, and you're winning that game. You're getting into a relationship, and then you're dropping it, and you're urging for being authentic and like just being you, and then all of a sudden the other person is like, oh wow, I didn't know this about you. Oh wow, I didn't know that you were that type of person. You were selling me a completely different person. That should never happen in your life. You should always be authentic and as crystal clear about who you are, what you like. And best case, I mean, there's always this romantic part, right? There's certain dynamics to romanticism, and there's certain dynamics to dating and, making your partner feel special, right? I definitely don't say that you shouldn't learn at least a little bit about how that works to just create a beautiful and playful dynamic. But you should always be yourself at your core, right? And because this is pretty much your presentation that you're giving to sell yourself, pretty much, right? So that's why become mindful of those social masks and learn when to drop them, or learn to drop them, most importantly. And then number 5, which is my absolute favorite, is seek like-minded people. I heard actually this morning in a podcast while I was working out in the podcast episode from Chris Willicks, or in a quick short on Instagram, where he said that the percentage of men who had no close friends back in 2001 were around 3%. Now in 2021, study says that the percentage of close friends that a man nowadays has is 15%. 15% of all men out there don't have any close friends and don't have friends who are like-minded in their state. And I think it's so crucially important that we make friends and we work and we put effort into finding people who are like-minded. This means coming from, if you're always in this isolated state, in this monk mode, and you're never putting your face out there, it's very hard to find friends, right? It's important to work on yourself first, and it's important to find your peace first, but then go out, because we as humans, we are predicated on living in social environments. It is important for our survival to be able to have a healthy environment around us that nurtures us, that helps us to grow, and that is just a stability for our life whenever we're going through the flaws and like the valleys and mountains of life. That's why find like-minded individuals that are accepting you exactly the way you are, but who you can accept as well exactly the way they are. And that, I'm gonna tell you, is probably the most beautiful aspect of life itself, having social connections that go beyond just the superficial societal norms. And I can highly encourage that, to make awesome friends, because you want to make experience, not money. You want to make lasting memories with people, not some quick, I'm having a night out and going absolutely bonkers, buying like a 400 euro bottle of champagne. That is all cool and fine, but you want to make lasting experience where you go travel the world, where you go on hiking trips, where you go sailing, where you go skydiving. All of these experiences and memories will stay forever. So guys, this was a very quick first episode. It took a little bit longer than I expected it to take, but I guess I had a lot to share. So authenticity, to close it down a little bit, authenticity is not a destination, but a journey. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes. So take off the masks and embrace who you truly are. In our next episode, we will actually dive deeper into the construct of identity, because everything in this mini-series is based around authenticity. And it's important to not only start off a little bit with authenticity, but then dissect it even further and go into the topic of identity, because identity is who you are at your core and what makes or made you you. We are going to be talking about things such as upbringing, your values, your beliefs, the ethnical background that you're from, how that shapes your identity. And I'm actually really looking forward to, not for the next one, but probably for the one after that, we're going to be starting off with our very first podcast interview with a very, very close and dear friend of mine, an incredible transformational and mindset coach, Daniel Schuler. And I'm really looking forward to that, as that's going to be a massive value topic. And I just wanted to leave you guys with that. So thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Journey Beyond podcast. Also, if you liked today's episode and you got only a little bit of value from it, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a little review, maybe give it a 4 or 5 star rating, whatever you feel like it, and share this episode with a friend of yours that will need to hear this today, because your support makes all the difference. Thank you. And until then, don't forget, you are just perfect the way you are. My love goes out to you, and see you in the next one.